Hello, I'm back with a design team project for Antivirus Scrap and Craft. And this is the October kit, which is called Trick or Treat. And I want to make a series of shakers. Now, these are, a lot of times when we do a shaker, it can be kind of a free-form shape, and we just put like foam tape behind it to build it up. But I want these to be freestanding. In other words, this would be a shaker in itself. So many times when you're doing a shaker, what you would do is have a background piece here, like on my bat here. You can see the background there. But I decided I wanted my background to be clear. So I actually designed some shapes to be shakers. I designed them with the Silhouette Design Studio. And so I cut these out. You know, there does have the full shape and the one with the hole cut out of it. Now, if you don't have a digital cutting machine, but you do have dies that are nesting dies that come in several shapes, what you can do is like I've been doing here. I have 2 dies here, and if you just line them up on your paper and you line up the middle one inside and try to eyeball it, and then you cut it, but then you have to keep doing that over and over again, and then you might not get them exactly the same shape. I mean, you know, you could be fatter here and skinnier here, fatter here and skinnier here. So you want to play around and keep it the same shape all the time. So what I did was I taped these 2 together, and that way I know I will always have exactly the identical shape that I need. Little hint is when you, this is like beauty tape, but you can also use washi, you can use masking tape. I would dull it a little bit by sticking it to your shirt a couple times. I mean, after you tape it, you want it to stick to the die, but then dull the tape that's sticking out. The parts that stick over, I fold under, and then you can get a repeat die over and over again. Just make sure, like I have a little hole that I poked here. You want to have a way to be able to poke the paper out once you have cut it. So that's just an idea of how to make a shaker ring. As far as what goes inside there, I do have this beautiful set from Neat and Tangled. I love this shaker set because it's got little ghosts in it. I think they're adorable. Other than that, I usually make my own shaker sets. This time around, I also got this die set, and they're mini ghosts from Impression Obsession. I love them, and I used my die machine, and I made a bunch of ghosts to go in there. And I also took some of this paper, and I used some glittery Martha Stewart decoupage, durable glitter finish. Now you can do the same thing with Mod Podge and just add a little bit of glitter to it. Play around and get it the texture you want or the brightness you want. So I had a piece about this big. It was a scrap, and I glitter podged it, and I let that dry. And when I was done, I fussy cut out some bats to put in the shakers. But I also, with the rest of the paper, I used a little tiny punch to cut out these little glittery cardstocks. Another thing about having this clear is that I would like to use some of these, which are the die cuts from this month's kit. And I would like to have some of them, like each one have an image showing through, like maybe this pumpkin. So if you see, he could be here and showing through. Okay, so the question is, I would like to have him behind the back, but then the problem is in gluing him to this, you would see whatever adhesive I use, and I really don't want that. Another option is you could sandwich him between 2 pieces of the acetate. You could glue him to the back one, put another piece of acetate on top, and then you could put all of these on there. These are just to build up and give you room to have shakers. You could do that. I think in this situation, I only have 2 acetates cut. I could go back and cut more, but I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue it onto the front of the back acetate. So let me see. First I need to figure out where I want this to be, and I kind of do like the corner. So I'm just going to eyeball that. Let me put some of this aside here. Okay, I am going to use the glossy accents to attach this. And I'm using a fine tip applicator. I do want to get close around to the edge because I really don't want my sequins getting stuck underneath it. I'm using the fine tip because it gives me a good control over where it's going, and it's not going to squish out. Okay, now in order to get these built up, I need to get them all lined up. And if I just start glue, stick, and glue and stick, I'm going to have all these. I think I have 8 of them. I do. I have 8 of these cardstocks. I think what I'm going to do is to glue one at a time and use, let's see if this helps me at all. I'm going to take one, okay, line it up, and clip it just so I can keep a perfect alignment when I do the bottom edge. Yeah. I think I'm going to clip it while it dries there. And then I know that that one is lined up perfectly, and I'll glue the rest later. Now for all of these, I can just use paper glue. So going back to, I can use that, or I can use my Tombow mono adhesive. So here's what I want to do again. I'm holding this down because I want to get it lined up perfectly. Like that. That helps me to get a good, good seal on that and know that it's going to be lined up the right way. Let's do this last one here. Let's see how we're doing here. It would be better to do it onto the cardstock, not onto the acetate, because then I could really see where I'm going with this. But since I started the one way, there we go. Okay, let's get off the excess on that. Oops, it does just rub off whatever you have excess, which is nice about it. And it has a nice little cover there, so you don't have to get it stuck on other items. Okay, so all we have to do now okay, I need to look straight down on this, make sure I've got it centered. So excuse me if I go off camera. Now the building up of all of that cardstock was to give us a reservoir to hold all of the sequins or whatever I want to use, confetti. So let's see what we have. I do want to put some of this in there. And another thing you can do is to use your embossing buddy to sort of cut down on the static. These here, anti-static things, you know, you could rub that around in there before you actually put your sequins in there, and it would actually give you a better flow on your sequins when you shake it. And I tend to put too much sequins in my shakers, so I'm trying to be a little careful here. And I also want to add a couple of my die cut ghosts here because they're a little larger than the sequins ghost I've got in there, and they are so adorable. Okay, now I also want to get in some of these. Remember I had made these orange ones. All right, so make sure I've got, you don't want any of that around here. Oh, there's another one loose, and the next layer would be the acetate, the second layer of acetate going on. Okay, and again, I need to look right down on this. Now you see that's not very pretty, but that's why we have this, and that will cover it up. You know what? I like this too. Oh my goodness. This is one of mine, and this would be another. This is tough. I think I'm going to go with this one. But I think I also want to give it a little bit of distressing around the edges. I just love the way that you can actually see that it says Halloween there. Okay, I think that's going to be really cute. So back we are to the Tombow mono adhesive. Be careful when you're lowering these down, because the tendency is to pull to the sides and actually stretch that out. So there it is. And again, we've got that little pumpkin in there, and he's kind of like hidden in the secret area right there. Oops, I did have one escapee while we're letting this thing dry. Now the next one. I'm going to go ahead and build this up, but first I need to look at what I want to put in here for an image. And I'm going to put this image toward the top instead of toward the bottom. And I like this. I like this, this here spider web. I think I want a spider web coming down off the top right corner. So I think what I'll do is I'll glue it to this paper, and then I'll know how much extra spider web I need to cut off. Oh yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, now this goes on to the bottom acetate. And where's my runner? Okay, now all of our layers of paper go up from here, and I'm going to pause the video and pick it back up when I have all my layers up. Okay, I've got that stuck down, and what I realized now that I've gone back, if you remember, I first used the glossy accents to put the very first layer of paper to the acetate, and it was not dry, so that when I tilted it up, some of the sequins did start to escape. So I would recommend using the tape runner all the way around for both layers of acetate. So I glued it again, and I've got it sitting there now. Okay, I have, again, 8 layers of cardstock. I don't have the deep cut blade for my cameo, or I would just do chipboard. Okay, I'm going to fill this up. Now I have a spider web. I don't want to put a spider in here, but I think I will put him on the frame after I get my sequins in there. So let's get going here. Add some more of this. Actually, I do want to give this a little bit of the that buddy here that stops you from getting static. I'm wondering if I should stick the bat in there. I'm using the same shaker goodies that I used for the other one. I want some continuity between all of my designs here, because I'm going to make a shaker hanger out of this, and you will see when I'm done with my third shaker what I'm going to do with that. Okay, now I said I wanted to put that spider up here, and I do, so I'm going to add him up there, and he can just go on with glue. Very cute. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Which reminds me, is there anything that I want to add onto this frame? It's rather busy, but maybe there's something in this set here that might complement instead of distracting. And next up, I have an oval shaker. Again, I just designed an oval shaker for the cameo. So I also have him cut out. He's a scarecrow, and I cut out the top part of him because I want him to be sticking out kind of like that, I think. I'm wondering about trimming off a little bit of his little straw here because it's just a little too big for me. Okay. Another point was when I, off camera, this spider web, I did glue down the points of it with the glossy accents to the acetate. It really helps to get that stabilized before putting sequins in there. I'm just making sure that he's where I want him to be. I want him to be right about there. Okay. So I guess what I could do is I'll put him on this. Maybe not. Okay. Let's do it this way. And I want to get all his little fingers, or not really fingers, but his raffia stuck to the acetate. Let's look again where he needs to go. I know, I'll put the frame under him. That way I can tell where he's supposed to go. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to build up, again, 8 layers of cardstock, and I will finish the video later.